Annihilated the lure. Hello and welcome to the Slippy Limpets video. Tonight we are going to try and catch a bass. We'll come down to a beach mark, we're going to start fishing into the dark, and hopefully, like I said, we're going to end up with a bass on the shore. Don't really care what size it is, but the thing I've got to consider is that it's dark. And filming these conditions isn't exactly the easiest thing to do. I could obviously put on a big light and light myself up, but for anyone who's fished for bass in the dark before, it's a big no-no. It really puts a fish off, so we'll give it a go. I'm really sorry about the quality of the video. I'm going to try and film and not hinder my chances of catching. Audio should be good, got good quality microphones, etc. So yeah, let's get kitted up. Waders on, wading boots or trainers. In terms of lures, this is the one. The Albi snacks, just obviously you can use other lures, but this is my favourite by a long way. It's caught me a good many fish, and the last few years. This one's actually 3 years old. Gonna chuck that weightless. 12-pound braid, 9'6" Century Graphex lure rod, and a 2,500 size Daiwa BG MagSealed. It's rocky here, but we're going to be fishing a clean sandy beach, which is why the 12-pound braid comes in handy. Means I can cast a light lure. The lure I'm going to be using is 14 grams with a 6/0 hook, Cox and Roll swim bait hook, and hopefully, depending on the wind, because it's gusting 30 miles an hour, we can truck this 14 gram lure around and wind it stupidly slowly and get a fish. Right, well the swell's about 1/3 of a foot. The wind is non-existent, so I'm going to wade out about up to my knees. Water clarity is really good. I'm not going to start with the top water, I'm just going to start trucking this soft plastic. It's that dark now, as you can probably see. So my plan, because it's dark, is I'm going to chuck a lure around, keep talking, and like I said, you want to see fish on the shore, so I kind of stick a big light on, but I will do if I hook into a fish. They should be able to see me. In the meantime, you can enjoy the sound of the waves, the wind, the rain, and hopefully some screaming dragon a wee bit. Now, I said this Albi snacks is pretty much the best nighttime lure I've used. Countless fish on it. The way to fish it, I've found, is to fish as slowly as possible. So if you're winding slow and you're not getting bored, then you're not winding slow enough. I think I counted once that I'll do like maybe 7 revolutions of the reel in a minute. Now this BG MagSealed 2,500 size, when it's full, brings in about, I don't know, 85 centimeters of line. The slower the better. Every now and again I'll speed it up or give a little lift of the rod tip. It's actually, one important thing is to keep the rod tip high. There's sometimes just mouthing the bait, and having your rod tip high helps hook, but also the sensitivity as well. Tonight's a little windy, so it's difficult. I'm going to keep my rod tip in a medium position, just so it's not affected by the line, isn't affected by the crosswind too much, but we're going to keep doing this until a fish comes. I'm also going to fish features I know of on the beach. I was down here the other night and at low tide, and I know where the gullies are, the sandbars, and also the rocks. And fishing a clean beach, it's really important that you know those type of things when you come down, because The idea is that we're fishing into structure. The fish should be around structure, which can be any depression in the sand, rocks, I don't know, litter, and anything like that. Just something that's different where it's not flat. Incidentally, it is cold. It's 9 degrees and there's a stiff 35-mile-an-hour northeasterly blowing, so it's pretty chilly. Things like this are a really good feature to look for. So we've got a freshwater stream coming in down the beach, running into the sea, and it's creating a big gully basically, which is exactly what we're after. Also brings food in for the bass, so yeah, any beach with a freshwater stream on is a really good feature to look for when you're looking for a bass mark. Just walking out past this sandbar, going to fish the opposite side of it. Yeah, fishy, 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 fishy. So we're currently on the ebb. We're about 3 hours after high tide. This beach actually, I usually fish on flood. I've had more luck at high tide especially, but the past few nights I've been having really, well, in fact most of the fish I've caught have been on the ebb. For some reason, after years of fishing here, they've stopped biting on the flood. I think there's been a lot of sand washed up over the structure. It's completely changed the terrain on the beach. And I'd given up figuring out a new sequence or pattern, which is really good. It's always good to have markers on the beach as well, so you don't have to turn your head torch on. You can see a stone there that I've rested my rod on a few times, and I've caught some fish from it, so I'm going to give that a go. The water is crystal clear, but there is a fair bit of floating weed in it. So another reason why I'm using light tackle. I don't think bass are all that leader shy, but I don't want to take the risk, so yeah. 12-pound leader, sorry, 12-pound braid. Oh, that was a cast and a half. And 19-pound leader. With that weight, I do run the risk of being gilled, which is where the the fish hook a fish flare the gill plates, and under tension can easily cut through your leader, which is why, again, I've got my drag quite soft, tight enough that I can set the hook, but loose enough that a reasonable fish can run, and avoid breaking or cutting me off with the gill plates. Another thing when fishing at night is try and use red light whenever you can. Red's the first colour in the colour spectrum to disappear in water. I think I read something that red light will travel 5 meters in water, but white or blue light will travel 60 meters in water or 50 meters. Much further. Oh, just had a hit there. Much further than that was from a little fish. Much further than red light does. So, and the beauty of red light is it doesn't affect your night vision. So you can turn it on, unhook your fish, change your lure, etc, etc. When you turn it off, you can still see in the dark. Look, it's actually knocked. Oop, the fish has knocked the lure off the top of the hook. Whoa. So that's me lure back in place. Yes, we found a fish, that's a really good sign. This is like top water fishing. If you've had your lure knocked, then you know you found a fish. Thing I love about night fishing with lures is you can't see how far you've cast, you can't see where your retrieve is in terms of, you know, your leader in terms of reaching your rod tip. So it just heightens your senses, like your hearing and your smell, and definitely your hearing, because you can kind of hear, depending on how big the surf is, when and where your lure's landed. You get used to how many retrieves, how many turns of the handle you get on your average cast. When you've got a tailwind, it's a little bit more tricky. Crosswind, exactly the same. But you kind of get into a rhythm. And it's just as exciting to me as top water fishing. Top water, obviously you can see where your lure's landed. You can see how well you're retrieving. More importantly, you can see when the fish hit your lure. Obviously I don't have any of that. All I've got is feel and hearing. I love it. Can feel really boring when you're not catching, but all you need is that one hit and you can get a decent fish. Just like I had last night. Fish for a few hours, absolutely no fish reaction, and then one cast, bang, 73 centimeters, and I don't know, I didn't wait. 73 is a nice fish. I don't know, 8.5, 9 pounds for a good quality stocky fish. Lovely fella. Even better to see it swimming off. Oh, it's getting dark enough now. Like pitch. Good overcast sky, so there's no stars and moon to spook the fish. It's just me talking and the odd flicker of my torch. But I've had a few casts at this spot, so I'm probably going to move down the beach a wee bit. Right, last cast here. One thing as well when you're fishing at night with light tackle like this, especially when it's windy, in fact not just light tackle, any tackle, is you don't necessarily know fully when the lures hit the water if you can't hear it. So I always wind, I'll grab the line with my hand basically and wind in any slack until I can feel tension on the lure, and that really reduces any chance of getting a wind knot. If you wind a load of slacked line in, you will get wind knots eventually, especially when it's blowing like tonight. You don't want to waste your braid by getting wind knots and having to either cut it out or spoil your fishing time. So best thing is to never ever wind in slack line. This is how slow I'm winding. Hopefully you can see it. And hopefully I don't scare the fish away. We did have one hit, but nothing since then. So I'm going to finish this retrieve and then move on down the beach to the next kind of known feature. So at the next spot, you can actually see, because you can see the waves breaking and where they're building and where they're dying off, where the structure is. Shallow water kicks up waves higher. Deeper water reduces the wave height. So when you can see a wave that's coming in about 1 meter tall, let's say, and then just next to it is about 1/2 meter or less than that, then you know there's a big change in depth. Oh, that wind's really picked up. A big change in depth, and therefore you know there's either a sandbar or some structure, rock, or current. Oh, speaking of rock, that was a rock. Thought I was into a good fish. Oh. One thing I want to do as well is make sure the lure's always running straight. So it's good to check after every cast, or every few casts, especially if you've hit some current, some structure, sorry. So I've got my tip slightly under the surface, and that means that if a bass mouths it, which they do at night, they'll just come and they'll not attack it, they'll just mouth it. Then hopefully they don't feel the point, and that it's running straight, so it doesn't spin in the water. Can't tell whether that was weed or a bite. I think it was weed. A lighter weight rod also helps in these conditions when you're chucking well, this, I think I said earlier, this is 14 grams plus a few grams for the hook. And light line, you don't want something that can truck 50, 60 grams, or at least a good, if you do have that, a good quality rod that can feel the lower end of its rating as well. It's all about sensitivity, this. I know I'm talking a lot, but that's because you can't see a lot. So I've got to make up for it somehow. There we go. Got a fish. I don't want to put my big bright light on. This isn't a big one, but I don't want to spook anything else that's here. It took really close in. Don't be a pollock. No, it's not. Tiny, tiny little bass. Say tiny, it's about 40 centimetres. There we go. No, actually not, 35 or so. Gonna move a bit further into the water. I'm trying not to splash, create too much of a noise because there's not many waves around. Oh, this rain can do one. The wind's really picked up and it's making it hard to decipher when my lures hit the water. Normally you can hear by the sound of the line coming off your reel. It slows down obviously when your lures hit the water, and then the wind will carry on taking your take your line off the reel, but it says, oh, slow pace. Come on, chase it, grab it, wind quickly, then pause. Oh, I had a few hits there. Oh, that was the right spot. Annihilated the lure. This is a beauty with the Albi snacks. Straight back, so durable. And here we go. A few casts later, got another wee one. Bit bigger this one, only marginally though. Oop. Actually no, he's a fair bit bigger. Off like a shot. Oh, well there we go. Couple of fish at night. Proves that the technique works. So just as a recap, I know this has been a really weird video because it's black. You can barely see anything. But one of the most important things of bass fishing at night is to keep your light off the water. And if you have to use a light, try and use a red light, and always when you turn it on, make sure you're facing the shore. Another thing to remember, don't wade out too far. The fish will come in really, really close. You know, sometimes they'll take it at your feet, so I quite like to pause literally just before I'm about to lift the lure out of the water, and keep your drag reasonably loose if you can, if you're fishing on a clean beach. Especially because if they do take it too close or very close, then you don't want them to snap you off. The other thing as well, know what you're fishing into. If you can, have a look at daylight. Mark out in your mind or on a map or something all of the gullies, the low points, the high points, any streams that come into the beach, boulders especially, seaweed, any sort of structure anywhere where the fish can kind of congregate. And also, most importantly, I find, wind really slowly. You can mix it up, you know, if you're bored of winding too slowly, stick a few quick retrieves in and then pause, and sometimes I'll hit it on the pause. And I find that a reel with a really sort of a torquey reel with a low gear ratio really helps with that. If your reel is too high speed, then it's actually really difficult to wind slow. Try not to fish in really bright moonlight. I don't think it works out well. Others may say differently, but I'm just giving you my opinion and how I've caught fish in the past. Fish as lightweight as you can, because it means you can fish really slowly with reasonable lures and cast much further. So I was using 12-pound line. It's rare that you're going to get a fish over that size, and even if you do, you've got a drag, and if you're on a cleanish ground, then it doesn't matter. Just let the fish run. You know, the only thing is use a reasonable leader, because a bigger fish can cut you off with its gill plates when it flares its gills when it's running. So I was using, I think, 23-pound Seaguar, or Seaguar, however you pronounce it, Ace Hard, which I've been using for years, and it's my favourite fluorocarbon by a long way. Lure colours, white or black, or something solid. Can be white, dark, pink. I mean, reds and pinks, they lose their profile or disappear the quickest in water, so they're not that visible. So you can use them when the fish are really spooky. In terms of hooks, I use a really fine gauge hook as well, just to reduce the weight and stop the fish from spooking too much. I think my biggest fish is around 74 centimeters at night, which isn't massive, but on 12-pound line and a light gauge hook, I absolutely had no trouble landing it at all. Yeah, just enjoy it. It seems really boring, but once that fish hits, you're like, or when you feel them smashing the lure as well, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, it's just nothing better in my opinion. So yeah, I know this is a weird video. You've probably just seen a load of black and heard me talking, but I couldn't catch a fish with bright lights on. So yeah, it's just the way it's going to have to be, unfortunately. But if you enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, until the next one, tight lines. Oh, please don't knock my camera over. Ooh, that was close.